Hello guys, welcome to my channel. The less is more. So today we will discuss an editorial from the Hindu. Okay, and today we will discuss little different topic, that is internal security, because for last many days we have discussed this topic before. We have discussed agriculture, economy, social issues, women, politics, international relation, US, India, but we haven't discussed this kind of topic before. So I thought today I should take this topic, and because the Manipur is also burning, and we should pray God to give their soul a peace. Okay, for those who are died in or they suffer from the violence that happened in Manipur, the innocent people who died. Okay, so I would pray to God that let them rest in peace. Okay, so now start the editorial. Manipur, this is not a time for finger pointing. Manipur's unfolding and extended tragedy, in which two of state's major communities, the Kukis and Meiteis, have been on a bloody communal clash since May 3, is proving how utterly meaningless all the contests to score debating points on the media are. Equally, it shows how empty all political posturing and wants can be in matters of resolving deadly conflicts. After nearly 2 months, the state remains tense with over 120 lives lost. While this cannot be reversed, there are also another estimated 45,000 displaced people in several temporary community-run relief camps on both sides of the divide. For their sake, first and foremost, all posturing must end so that all stakeholders in this conflict theatre, not just the Kukis and Meiteis, can sit down together to evolve a way forward with consensus, including structural administrative changes agreeable to all and for the benefit of all. So, in this introduction, the author has suggested the way forward, or the what would be in the upcoming paragraph. The interlinking in mutual welfare. What is interlinking in mutual welfare? So, the emphasis on consensus is important. The truth is, what one community does impact other communities even if they live separately. The integral geography of hills and valleys and rivers and lakes predestines this, and any move to disrupt this integrity can be an affront on the sense of security of another. Robert D. Kaplan, in The Revenge of Geography, what the map tells us about coming conflicts and the battle against fate, and before him, Alfred J. Mackinder, in The Geographical Pivot of History, have shown us how some of the deadliest conflicts in the world were always implicit in shared geographical destinies. So, it's a geographical problem. Okay. So, the origin can be traced back to the geography for this conflict. We are seeing this in Russia's response to the NATO's overtures in Ukraine, and indeed in India's own response to the Chinese incursion in the Bhutanese territory of Doklam in 2017. So here the author has given two examples of Ukraine, and that is international example, and the domestic example is Chinese incursion in the Bhutanese territory. Not domestic but of our own. Okay. The current standoff in Manipur should have already shown how much the hills and valley depend on each other for their mutual welfare. So, hills and valley depend on each other for their mutual welfare. In this relationship, it is also to be expected that the valley would feel a little more vulnerable, though this is also where topographical and agricultural advantages result in state formation first. James C. Scott profiles in this friction between paddy states and non-state bearing populations living in surrounding mountains. In The Art of Not Being Governed, an anarchist history of upland Southeast Asia. The imagined nation of these valleys therefore have always included a sense of control of the surrounding hills where their mountain passes are and rivers originate. The Meite's near paranoid concern about Manipur's territorial integrity must be understood in this light. Independent India choosing to inherit a skewed land law introduced by the British has ensured that they are today confined in the small Imphal valley. The British had their compulsions when they set foot in the northeast in 1826. They had also to deal with Scots' non-state bearing population of hunter-gatherers whose community affiliation seldom extended beyond their villages. The British had either to subjugate each of them and bring them under their direct rule or else leave them alone under their remote gaze. They chose the latter and found it more convenient to associate with the centralized bureaucracy of paddy states there. Hence, after annexing Assam, they promulgated the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation of 1873 to draw an inner line along the foot of the hills that surrounded the floodplains of Assam. Bodhisattvakar, in an essay, When Was the Post-Colonial? A History of Policing Impossible Lines, characterizes these as a giving territorial frame to capital, separating the modern from primitive. Without actually drawing an inner line, this governance mechanism was introduced in the Manipur after 1891 when Manipur became a British protectorate state. So, this is the problem or the origination and can be traced to colonial era because Britishers, for their own sake, they have choose to separate this community and not brought in under the main or the modern lines, and they have draw the inner line along the foothills of the mountains and the floodplain of Assam, okay, to annex the Assam and not interfere in this mountainous area. Acknowledge Meitei pain. Many now talk of an ethnic cleansing happening in Manipur, and this may actually become so if nothing is done to ensure the displaced can return home safely. What most miss, however, is a silent, seemingly non-aggressive ethnic cleansing of Meiteis from Manipur's hills in the decade since India's independence. The pain of those forced to flee in the wake of the present crisis is heart-wrenching, but it is time to also acknowledge the accumulated pain and humiliation of confinement Meiteis would have had to bear, which is not trivial. Hence, their demand for scheduled tribe status is also a desperate cry against this sense of besiegement. This should also explain, though not justify, the shockingly violent response of Meiteis to the carnage on the afternoon of May 3 in the Torbung area of Churachandpur district. In this incident, Meitei villagers were seen on the internet even as they were fleeing arson attacks by Kuki mobs, desperately appealing for help. When it became evident the government was not doing anything to control the violence, a dark, primordial and amoral energy within the large Meitei society began churning, not just in response to the immediate affront but also fired by a subterranean sense, reasonable or not, of a civilizational and even existential threat. The violence that followed is unimaginably wild and is indiscriminate. Ambulances, schools, ministerial bungalows and residence Men, women, and children all became targets. Some onlookers think that two organizations, Arambai Tengol and Meitei Lipun, are the creators of this mayhem. This is simplistic. This organization, which few would have heard of before this crisis, may have been the first responders to the Torbung mayhem and may still be a part of the problem, but are hardly the problem in its entirety. In Freudian terms, what is being witnessed in the meaty society now is the primordial, malevolent, infantile, id shattering the ceiling of civilizational control of the superego, while the rational ego is made powerless and irrelevant. In this surge of dark energy, it is amazing how an entire community can mobilize itself on such a large scale, and it is frightening to witness the readiness to kill or die of ordinary men and women. This must be what made W.B. Yeats exclaim, "A territorial beauty is born, though there is little to distinguish this beauty from the beast." For the cookies too have been made to suffer long from unjust humiliation and sense of persecution by the insensitive manner in which the government push policies such as drives against poppy plantation, illegal migration and encroachment into reserve forest. The hurt this would have caused should explain why only Kukis and not Nagas reacted in extreme violence on May 3, though both were in the same rally organized to protest the proposal to include Métis in the ST list. However, this is not the time for who started it or who did more damage. Finger pointing. The return of normalcy must be the priority, and this initiative should begin from the leadership at the very top. Even if they have scores left to be settled, they must end the dueling for now. Along with this, to dispel all doubt of involvement of Kuki militants under the suspension of operation agreement in this conflict, the Assam Rifles must provide conclusive evidence of all cadres being back in their designated camps. Once this is done, it should be easier to have all weapons looted from police stations in the valley areas either returned or recovered. In this shining example of Mahatma Gandhi's courage in calling off the non-cooperation movement on February 12, 1922, after the violent Chauri Chora incident is there to emulate. So, this was for today, guys. Okay, and we have seen the interlink in the mutual welfare. Okay, that how the mutual welfare can bring to the welfare of all, and even the government should also acknowledge the pain of that are suffering from the meetings are suffering from, and also heard the voice of the cookies that they are saying, and the first priority is to be restore the normalcy. Okay, so this was for today, guys, and I hope you would be understanding, and please do comment in the comment section the keywords that you find appropriate from this editorial, and just comment in just 10 to 25 words so that you can learn many new words. If you want to summarize this topic in your words, then it's very good. I would appreciate it. Else, just do write in the comment section just 25 words or the keywords that you got in this editorial and find it new to you. Okay, so till then, bye bye, signing off for the day.